Toco Helping Hands was established around 15 years ago for the sole purpose at that time to build a small community library in the area.
The group was formed in 2019 with myself and a lady by the name of Miss Glenda Thomas. It's literally for the farmers that wasn't being looked at.
Yeah, there's been some major landslides and stuff like that with rainfall in the last few years, especially. Lots of roads got blocked and fallen away, and with really heavy rainfall. And so that's been a major problem. Also, too, a few years ago, we had lots and lots of seaweed came up on the coast. And it hampered the turtles from being able to lay and blocked off the beaches, and it was hard for fisher people and for people to enjoy for regular citizens to enjoy the beaches. Not flooding, because the area doesn't flood that much.
Weather has affected the community, not so much, but still, because with the high levels of over time, these high levels of sea rising, sometimes when rainfall really heavy, the water would come across, like in Mission. You would have seen the coast, the water would come over the road, and then we will have soil erosion where the trees may fall across the road and things like that. But at a great deal, no, it hasn't.
Yes. The weather affects our community daily, but not from the point where people would notice it. Every year, we lose land to the ocean. But like today, you could go on the beach and watch 1 foot of land go away in one day. And that is a lot. There's a lot to lose for any country, to lose 1 foot of land a day. And I'm saying 1 foot of land to even out the plain. There would be areas where a whole hill would come down. 10 feet of land just went. 10 feet inwards, not in height, but inwards lands, and there would, that sort of event takes place every year. Every year. A long time ago, they did something about it in Maya Row, where they had to put a set of stone along the shoreline, but then that stopped. And then they went to Sanssouci and put a wall to help protect the road. So you need professional consultation. You need people who understand how to treat that kind of thing, because we might just say, just build a wall, but you may build a wall here and cause a problem somewhere further down. So you need to know if it's a wall or if it's a jetty, a pier or something. You need to know what to do based on the area. So consultation is always one of the main key, and I always go back to education, because that will be educating us about what is the right thing to do.
Over the last 10 years, most people who get affected with the weather are the fishermen. Sometimes they are caught unprepared with the change of weather pattern, and their boats will be out in the ocean, and they will get, some of them will get their boats damaged.
It has affected our bridges. So yeah, we have been affected, and especially we live on the coast. So of course, we have the erosion of the sea coast as well. So yes, I can say answer that question, yes. So weather has affected us over the decades.
Yeah, well, I guess there were roads collapsing, there are trees falling, so that's in the rainy season. Sometimes they have high tides where the beaches come into the road that they can't pass and stuff like that. It'll be on the coastline, so there's a heavy wind present where wind blow and people roofs got blown off.
So in my lifetime, I have seen the sea come closer to land. So yes, there has been the impact of climate change, there has been the impact of adverse weather conditions. Farmers are complaining that the days are hotter, the rainfall is more intense. There are challenges for water because springs are drying up.
There is a serious water issue in some areas on this coast in terms of where water reach. So there are a lot of farmers not getting water in the gardens and don't have ponds and so on. So that is the next issue that weather affects in a negative way.
Off the back, no. Community groups don't treat with those things, and the impact, as I told you a while ago, it is severe, it is often, but we do not have the capacity to treat with any type of environmental conditions. What we do is just take heed to the weather warnings for hurricane, tropical cyclones, rough sea bulletins, thunderstorms in our area, because we are based around a lot of rivers on the northeast coast, especially so far up in Maclot.
To solve negative impacts, we always have to go to the agencies, to the ministries. We tried, especially in Maclot, to build a ramp. Is a ramp? A ramp. So that the boats could be secured. That they could pull up the boats to be secured in case of an emergency overnight with the weather pattern.
Oh yeah, no, they are not in the community.
Community groups regularly? No. I would not say they do it regularly. From time to time, yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
We protest. We protest when the road is bad. When we had the bad weather and their bridges were washed away and so forth, they did come out, they protested. And it seemed to be effective. But to say that we ourselves do anything for ourselves, no. No, we do depend on the government to assist.
Well, you have from time to time some groups come together and do some beach cleanups and so on. Turtle groups come together often, 2-3 times a year and do beach cleanup. Our organization, 2 years ago, we did some planting of some trees by the seaside and that kind of thing. It's not done regularly enough. At one time in our history, the community was more inland, and then they came out closer to the sea. I feel history is going to repeat itself unless we do something to protect the seacoast. I will say underprepared. It is simply because my community groups are voluntary organizations. The work that needs to be done in this community needs to be paid work for those things to be done in the way that it should be done.
Persons were trained in disaster management. So we have first responders. So in terms of weather condition, if there is a disaster in the community in terms of when we have strong winds and heavy rains and we wouldn't call it tsunami, but the sea would cross the roads and that sort of thing. We have first responders to help people in terms of these disasters. We are not affected too much by climate change in Toco, right? We facing the Sahara dust now that is out there, yes?
I know that the government would have provided workshops and so forth to say if that there's been any follow-up to that. No. So if I cannot say that we are 100% ready, but when something really does happen, it usually takes a while before anyone actually comes. I would say tree falls across the road. How long does it take before someone comes and clears the tree? It's many hours. Usually, who comes and who does it are the members of the persons who are driving on the road, and they themselves will be more prepared because they will have their cutlasses in their vehicles and so forth. They will come out and clear the trees and go their way.
Not prepared at all, because again, facilities and stuff to get stuff to Toco, that will be a challenge, because most times is only farmers have problems with climate change in Toco, because some farmers don't have water on their farms. So sometimes they can't farm.
Beaches are impacted upon by climate change, sea level rise. It is predicted, U.W.I did a model, and it's predicted that by a future period in time, I can't remember the exact date, a lot of these nesting beaches will be non-existent. Some of the weather-related issues is difficult to mitigate against. It's difficult to prepare for them, but I think that most of the climate-related challenges that are coming, most people outside of a few groups are not prepared or even thinking about it. And it may sound cynical, but the best way to prepare for an environmental, climate-related disaster is being exposed to one previously. So that if you have experienced a hurricane, you understand what it means to experience a hurricane. So I grew up hearing my grandparents talk about Hurricane Flora. That's a hurricane they lived through. They understand the impact of a hurricane. So we take it very peaceful and very calm. So I think we are not prepared for the long-term impacts of climate-related issues.
I don't think we are nowhere close to being ready for the smallest disaster. Weather. When there is something that we call ground seas, an undercurrent that churns up the bottom of the ocean, but when it reaches the shoreline, you get huge swell. And we are not prepared for even that, when that is something that occurs every year, about several times a year. It could happen 3-4 times a year. If there is a forest fire taking place, we are not prepared for that in our community. If there is a health issue, some outbreak of something within our community, we are not prepared for that.
There hasn't been much information about how to navigate challenges with weather.
What we need quickly are more equipment. We need a seacraft. If Matlet is cut off from Toco, we must have an avenue. And we may have a helicopter that will come and land to move the injuries from one end to the other end.
For the community groups, we will need a more awareness, seminars, different hands-on, seminars. Not just like a one-time thing every 6 months or whatever.
Equip people with the skills to be able to do that. Provide opportunities for young persons for scholarships from this area to be able to get the requisite skills and to come back to the community to help the development of the community.
There's a need for consultations into these matters. You need to make people aware of it, educate people on how to treat with these situations, and then from there you could set up facilities that would be able to control any strange occurrence of or events that might take place that could be a threat.
In terms of climate and climate change, global warming, that kind of thing, persons are not fully educated as they should be about that. I think that's a concern, and being a part of our other group called Future Officials, we are trying to address some of those initiatives, right? But it's going to take some time.